Hey Southfield family, Alan and I wanted to give some space to address some things going on in our culture recently. And honestly, I don't know about you, but in 2020, I have felt a lot like this kid on this roller coaster, really just hanging on for dear life. COVID sprang on the scene in March, and then this past week, and really the past month, the treatment of Black Americans at the hands of police and really by society at large has really sprung to the front of the cultural discussion. And so we just wanted to give some space to talk about this a little bit. Now, there have been multiple undeniable injustices broadcast to the nation recently, from Ahmaud Arbery to George Floyd and many others I know. Very tragic situations happening. And thankfully, and especially in some of these recent cases, it really seems like justice is on its way to being served. But that does not mean that justice is being served everywhere. Now, the core issue here is that the image of God in people is being devalued. We must understand this. Now, there have been an overwhelming chorus of people, many of them believers, who are affirming the presence of this trend, the presence of this sin in our nation. And so to ignore them and to dismiss their message would be to misunderstand the very heart of God, who hears the cry of the oppressed and who seeks to restore justice. Because we have been saved by the grace of God through faith in Jesus, there are implications on our lives. One of those is striving to respond to events with the heart of God. And so, to that end, Alan and I have an opportunity for you this morning. So we will be participating in a march this evening at 6 p.m. It will be at Greater Community Missionary Baptist Church. It's a church in Arlington on Park Row. We'll make sure you get the address. It will start at that church and it will end at Arlington City Hall, about a 1.2 mile march. Now, the majority of the march will be along Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, which is part of Center Street, if you're familiar with Arlington. And this march is called Call to Conscience, Equal Protection and Equal Treatment Under the Law for All. And it's organized by some church leaders in Arlington who Alan and I respect. And not only that, but it's actually going to be attended by not only the mayor, but also the Arlington Police Department, who will be marching in solidarity and striving for just treatment for all under the law. Now, Greater Community Missionary Baptist Church, it's largely an African-American congregation. They have done great work recently in collaborating with local officials, also county officials, in bringing about peace where it is needed and in bringing about justice where it is needed. This will be an entirely peaceful march. No violence of any kind is going to be tolerated. In fact, my 5-year-old son Jason will be with me, and I really think that this will spur some necessary conversations about the heart of man, the darkness at the heart of man, but also our part in bringing about the heart of God in this world. And so yes, it will be a peaceful march, but peaceful does not equate to weakness. Quiet does not take away from the volume of the statement being made, and order does not lessen the gravity of the issue in front of us. It will be a march that affirms the imago Dei, that affirms the image of God in every human being, and especially in ones who have had it taken away from them recently. There is a reason that the verse that describes our creation in the image of God is at the beginning of the Bible. In Genesis 1:27, we see God made us in His image, and this is the foundation of all human rights. And as God's church, Southfield Christian Fellowship must be crystal clear on this, because it is only when we understand and relentlessly apply this truth that we can then progress to loving our neighbor well. In fact, when Jesus was asked, "Who is my neighbor that I should love them?" he illustrated his point by telling a story about a man who showed kindness to another man when he should have hated that other man, because his culture said, he's from a different culture, you should hate him. But Jesus said, no, that is your neighbor. And so something like this might be outside your comfort zone. I get that. This is something I have been stretched in recent days and recent weeks, and I am seeking the heart of God in this. We invite you to join us this evening, 6 p.m., Greater Community Missionary Baptist Church. Bring water, bring good shoes to walk in, let us know if you're coming. We would just love to connect with you there. And we deeply care about each of you. We want to walk alongside you as we have this discussion. So we hope to see many of you there tonight, and we love y'all.